Imagine waking up tomorrow and a strange new law has been imposed on the world. It's not a government law. It's not a religious commandment. It's biological. From the moment you open your eyes, for exactly 24 hours, no human being can tell a lie. Not a big one, not a small one. Not a white lie to protect someone's feelings. Not a political deception. Not a fake compliment. Not a single, "I'm fine," when you're falling apart inside. Every thought that passes through your brain comes out of your mouth exactly as it is, unfiltered, unedited, and brutally true. At first, you might think it's a dream. You ask your partner if they slept well, and instead of the usual yes, they say, "No, you were snoring and I was thinking about how much I hate my job." You freeze. You open social media, and the comments section is a nuclear wasteland of raw honesty. Politicians are confessing their true intentions. Advertisements are admitting their products are mediocre. Influencers are posting stories saying, "I'm only doing this for money. I don't even like this protein powder." What would happen to the world if, for a single day, the human brain lost its ability to deceive? The answer is not just chaos. It's a complete, irreversible reset of civilization. And the science behind it is more fascinating than you can imagine. Let's find out, according to science. Welcome to What If Science. To understand what a world without lies would look like, you first have to understand why we lie in the first place. And the truth is, lying is not a bug in the human brain. It's a feature. It's one of the most sophisticated cognitive abilities we have. A child tells their first lie around the age of 2 or 3. That moment is not a sign of moral failure. It's a sign that the child's brain has developed something called theory of mind. They understand that other people have different thoughts, different beliefs, and different knowledge than they do. And they can manipulate those beliefs. Lying is not just about avoiding punishment. It's about social cohesion. Psychologists have studied lies for decades, and they've found that the average person tells between 1 and 2 lies per day. Most of them are tiny. "I love your haircut." "Sorry I'm late, traffic was terrible." "No, that dress doesn't make you look fat." These are called prosocial lies, and they are the lubricant of human interaction. Without them, society grinds to a halt. So what happens when the lubricant disappears? The first thing that would happen, within minutes of waking up, is that your closest relationships would implode. Every unspoken resentment, every hidden attraction, every buried criticism would surface like a corpse in a flooded graveyard. Marriages that have survived decades on a delicate balance of tolerance and small deceptions would shatter. Spouses would hear things they can never unhear. "Yes, I did think about leaving you. Sometimes I wish we'd never had children. I never liked your mother." These sentences, spoken once, cannot be taken back. The damage would be permanent. But it wouldn't just be spouses. Parents and children, siblings, best friends. All relationships built on a quiet foundation of polite lies and hidden truths would face a reckoning. A child would ask their parent if they were a wanted pregnancy, and the parent would have to answer truthfully. A friend would ask if you really enjoyed their company, and you would have to say no or yes with a clarity that has never existed before. By the end of the first hour, millions of relationships would be beyond repair. But the social demolition is just the beginning. The real collapse would happen in the economy. Modern capitalism runs on a thin layer of mistrust and a thick layer of marketing, which is often just organized deception. For 24 hours, all of that would vanish. Every advertisement would tell the truth. Car commercials would say, "This vehicle is slightly overpriced and the fuel economy is worse than we claim." Fast food ads would show a sad, wilted burger and say, "It doesn't look like the picture." It never does. Real estate agents would walk into a house and say, "The basement floods every spring and the neighbors are loud." The stock market, which runs on confidence, speculation, and sometimes outright fraud, would crash within the first hour. CEOs would confess that their companies are overvalued. Bankers would admit which loans are toxic. The entire financial system would freeze. And then there is the legal system. Every courtroom in the world would become a place of absolute, terrifying truth. The guilty would confess. The innocent would have no fear. Witnesses would no longer be able to shade their testimony. Perjury would not exist. The backlog of cases would clear in a day, but the number of new cases would explode. Every unspoken crime, every hidden betrayal, every secret that was buried under a lie would come to light. By the end of the day, the number of divorces filed, lawsuits launched, and corporations dissolved would be unlike anything in human history. But here is the truly fascinating part. Lying is not just a social skill. It's a neurological process. When you lie, your brain is doing something extraordinary. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control, lights up with activity. You have to suppress the truth, which your brain already knows, and construct a false version of reality in its place. This requires enormous cognitive effort. It burns glucose. It raises your heart rate. It activates your sympathetic nervous system. Lie detection tests like the polygraph are based on this very principle. Your body betrays the lie even when your words do not. So what would happen if the biological ability to lie was simply switched off? What if, for 24 hours, the prefrontal cortex could no longer override the truth? This could theoretically happen. There are conditions, like certain types of frontal lobe damage, where a person loses their ability to lie. They become pathologically honest, unable to filter their thoughts. It's called disinhibition syndrome. They don't choose to tell the truth. They simply cannot do otherwise. If this were imposed on every human brain simultaneously, the first few hours would feel like a nightmare. But as the day wore on, something surprising might begin to happen. People might start to adapt. If you know that everyone around you is incapable of lying, the social cost of telling the truth drops to zero. There is no point in being offended by a comment that you know was not intended to hurt, because the concept of intending to deceive no longer exists. You can't be angry at someone for telling you the truth when you know they had no choice. This could lead to something unprecedented, a society built on radical honesty. In this new, temporary world, a compliment would mean something because it would have to be true. An apology would carry weight because it could not be faked. Love would be terrifying, but also pure. You would know, for the first time in human history, exactly where you stand with every person in your life. The anxiety of not knowing, of suspecting, of doubting would be gone. It would be replaced by the certainty of absolute, brutal, beautiful truth. But here is the darkest side of this hypothetical. If you cannot lie to others, you also cannot lie to yourself. And self-deception is the glue that holds the human psyche together. We tell ourselves we are good people. We tell ourselves our failures were not our fault. We tell ourselves we are happy when we are not. For 24 hours, every comforting illusion would be stripped away. You would see yourself exactly as you are, without the filters of ego and denial. For some, this would be liberating. For others, it would be the beginning of a psychological collapse. By the time the 24 hours ended, the world would be a different place. Millions of relationships would have ended. Millions more would have been forged in a fire of honesty that could never have existed before. The economy would be in ruins, but it would be rebuilt on a foundation of transparency. The political landscape would be unrecognizable. Dictatorships would have fallen. Democracies would have been shaken to their core. Trust in institutions would have been destroyed, but trust between individuals, the ones who survived the honesty, would be deeper than ever. And the next morning, when the ability to lie returned, humanity would face an impossible choice. Do we go back? Do we rebuild the walls of polite deception that kept society running? Or do we try, for the first time, to live in the truth? Some would rush back to the comfort of small lies. Others would find that they had lost the taste for them entirely. A lie, once you have seen what honesty can do, tastes like ash. What if, for just one day, nobody could lie? According to science, it would be the most painful, liberating, destructive, and transformative day in human history. And you would not be the same person at the end of it. If this exploration made you think about the power of honesty, subscribe and hit the bell. At What If Science, we ask the impossible questions and answer them with real science. What's one thing you would be terrified to hear the truth about? I'll read you in the comments.